Hello, my name is Steve Lamb. I'm here with the Center for Progressive Urban Politics. We're surrounded on a daily basis by news that the sky is falling and that there are no solutions, but here we're focusing in our interview series on people who are finding solutions without major funding sources from government or financial institutions to the problems that surround and confound us. And today we're really fortunate. We're here with the woman who my wife and I call our food guru, Christina Avaness. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, Steve. Thank you so much. I'm
feeling
well. And I love being surrounded by all of these wonderful plants and fruits and vegetables.
Yes, we're at Homestead again. It's a nice place to be.
I love it.
Yeah. Now, you actually have developed scientifically and spiritually a diet that you call the Living Beyond Organic diet. Can you tell us sort of how you came to develop this diet?
Well, it was inspired many years ago by a crisis, which was my husband's heart attack. And we just intuitively didn't resonate with pursuing the traditional prescribed protocol.
So he's like not on statins?
Not on any medications whatsoever, not on any prescription medications. Right. And he is actually doing everything with herbs. And he reversed his healing, his heart attack, his heart disease, combined with many, many other complications, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and everything was really off the charts, in fact, to the point that he was given a year to live. And so we knew it was critical.
How many years ago was that?
This was when he was 48. He's 60 now, so 12
So we're glad
years.
the doctors were wrong.
12 years ago.
Okay.
So, and he's never been healthier. He looks better than he did when he was in his 20s. I mean, even in his 20s, he had like I want to say baby fat on his body. And so he had like love handles or whatever you call those and all of that. And his little face was always a little bloated and all of these things. And now everything is just perfectly, centered and his body is basically in balance. So I want to say that it's really not about, let's say, weight loss that we focus on. We really more focus on bringing the body into balance, and a balanced body is going to be in a state of well-being, which reflects in your body weight, not overweight, not underweight. It stabilizes. So I like to think more in terms of balance and in terms of lifestyle, as opposed to diet, only because diet brings up all of these kind of negative connotations of restriction and suffering. And as you know, on Living Beyond Organic, it's totally yummy.
It is,
right?
and totally yummy.
Beyond what maybe you experienced before.
Right.
And so I think it expands your culinary delights. So I like to look at it as a lifestyle as opposed to a diet. And so it started out that way. I mean, we just discovered that the food that we eat lends itself to your healing process, or not. And what we were eating before was not lending itself to our
But before, you were still feeding Ara and yourself and your girls. You were on an organic diet. I mean, it was organic food. This is partly why your title is Living Beyond Organic.
Exactly.
So it was all the supposed health food and good stuff.
That's right. But
can you explain a little bit why, even when you're eating like the organic beef or the organic chicken or the organic iceberg lettuce, why that doesn't work?
I love that you asked me that question, because most people don't get that when the title of the book is Living Beyond Organic, Nutritional Knowledge Redefined, and right there it says it all, because people feel, for the most part, that organic means it's good for you. It's synonymous with good for you. And it goes beyond that. It goes into the specifics of exactly what you're eating, and the source of the protein, the source of the carbohydrate, the source of the vitamins, the minerals, and all of the rest of it, and the fats, which we celebrate fats, but there are differences in the source. So how you can expand on that simply is by saying that just because something is organic doesn't necessarily mean it's good for you. You brought up iceberg lettuce.
Right.
Okay, so for example,
which used to be my favorite.
Right, and it's the one that's chopped up and served in all the fast food restaurants.
Salads, yeah.
A, it's the most economical.
Right.
B, what happens when iceberg lettuce grows is it matures fast. You get this big, huge head, so you get this like bulk. And they can chop it up and put it in everything. And unfortunately, what happens when lettuces mature to a certain point, especially iceberg, okay, the minerals that are inherent in lettuces like reintegrate and into the earth, and they become what is called hungry water, because the majority of what's in a lettuce, especially iceberg, is water.
Right.
So what hungry water does is it acts kind of like distilled water on your body, and it leaches out the body's minerals.
Right.
So if you're eating a lettuce for its mineral content, you want to eat baby lettuces primarily, because all baby lettuces, including the romaines and all that, if they're baby, they still have their minerals present. The reason you want to go with organic is because organic produce is grown in remineralized soil. Unfortunately, conventional products are usually grown in demineralized soil that has been chemically amended, and so you're not getting what you think you're getting in the lettuce.
We actually, I in my previous life, I did a lot of work on basically biospheres in the United States, and we actually depleted our soil through our industrial farming practices of the natural normal mineral content by 1937, which was 75 years ago. So for 75 years, the American people have been eating food that's been grown in depleted mineral soil that's been augmented by petroleum products, basically. And last time I checked, petroleum products aren't something you really want to be eating.
Not even topically or internally. Yes.
Well, so topically, like Vaseline's not good for your skin. No.
Yes, and everything. And look at the product, and it usually has some sort of petroleum-based
petroleum
product.
distillate. Yeah. If you
Correct.
look at right.
So that kind of gives you an idea about lettuces. As far as organic meats go, again, beef. You mentioned beef.
Right.
I don't recommend beef. I don't eat beef for many reasons, but primarily because of the genetic modification that has gone on with beef over the past 50 years. So that's number one. So the hormones, and also the fact that it is grain fed, and what grain feeding does is it literally does what is called tenderizing on the hoof. It causes a fermentation process in the meat, which, according to our taste buds, it makes it more tender. But what it also does is it prohibits the body's ability to absorb the nutrients that you're trying to get out of it. All of the 8 essential amino acids and the good fats and all of that are and the iron, the B vitamins, all of those things that are present in a red meat source become, your body is not able to absorb them. They're not bioavailable once that animal has eaten grains. So bison is not, thank heavens, and I don't want to bring this to the attention of the meat industry, but
we don't want them to get their evil little fingers on it. Yeah.
But the genetic modification as of yet is still not happening, and they are very they're grass-fed. Of course, they try to do the tenderizing on the hoof, so you really need to, even with bison, you need to be discerning. You need to go out and find a 100% grass-fed and finished product. Right.
You don't want it finished on corn. It's bad for it and you.
Exactly. And again, because of the fermentation on the hoof, the whatever they call it, tenderizing on the hoof, which causes the fermentation, it basically prohibits the absorption of the nutrients. So it's important. So again, it goes beyond just being organic. Yes, it's organic. And then if you really don't get about the organic thing yet, when you go to the bathroom and you poo, that's organic too. Would you want to eat that? So you don't want to base your choices on if it's just organic, you know? It's
That's
like
funny, because when I was eating the insane modern American diet, I used to say that all the time to my organic food friends. No, I used to say, well, you know, shit's organic, you wouldn't eat that. But it's really true.
It's very true.
You don't want something that's just organic. You want to know that it's healthy for you.
Exactly, because in the midst of writing this book, I was actually swimming in Lake Mead.
Okay.
And we call it flotsam and jetsam, okay, but it was something floating by. And I was like, and so at the time, you know, my teacher said to me, you know, so that's organic, but you wouldn't want to eat it. And it was like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
I so get it. So the discernment is what comes in. It's like, what are you eating? And then what is the source of it?
Now, you know, you're talking about tenderizing on the hoof, and I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, not at all.
But, you know, if you read this book, and actually read this book and understand it, they're actually, through the modern American diet, or what we like to call MAD, they're actually tenderizing humans on the hoof. I mean, because what we're eating in this industrialized diet is a highly inflammatory diet. It inflames our system. And that's actually what tenderizes the cattle on the hoof, too, is they're eating a highly inflammatory diet that breaks down the muscular tissue and sort of converts everything to sort of this gelatinous, fatty kind of thing. And that's what our standard American diet is actually doing to us, too, isn't that?
Well, because you are what you're made of. So if you're eating it, guess what?
Yeah.
So you're getting genetically modified right along with, you know, the cattle. And so you're absolutely right. And I love this. I love this when I don't have to explain it. I can take it on a deeper level, because really it starts there, but it's also about the flight or fight hormone, the adrenaline that is secreted at the time of slaughter.
Okay.
So that is also present in the meat in very high quantities. This is why I don't eat lamb. I don't eat, you know, because this is the fear of death, literally, is what causes that secretion to be excreted. And it goes directly into their circulation, their central nervous system, and into the meat. And then you're eating that frequency. So it's not just about the nutrient in the meat, so that or the food. It goes way beyond that. It goes into the frequency that it's holding.
Right.
You know, and people are very sensitive to this. It's not something that they're used to thinking about in terms of what they're eating, but it makes a lot of sense when, you know, for example, somebody has just experienced some sort of trauma, and you come into their energy field, you see them, and you know they need to be comforted or consoled, or something is off balance. All right. So imagine that on an extremely accelerated level in the animal who's scared to death.
Quite literally.
And then you eat it. And that frequency is then within you, which is what energetically renders it indigestible. But then in addition, there are physical contaminations, there are parasitic presence that we want to avoid. So it goes way beyond, again, the whether or not it's organic.
You know, it's funny, because I know you know, but the viewers don't know. I had in January of 2013, I had double bypass coronary artery surgery, and I was 99% blocked on one artery and 90% on another. My doctor didn't understand why I was still walking vertical and why I hadn't just had a major, you know, episode. But 30 days before I had that surgery, my friend Bob Aldera gave me your book, and we went on the diet. And I lost, the first 30 days, I lost 30 pounds like that. I mean, I was losing a pound a day on this diet at first. Wow. That hasn't kept up. But, you know, it was all because I just had all this inflammation. I had inflammation everywhere in my body. And I was, you know, just like effortlessly losing all this weight because I was changing up from the poison that I was eating. And it was really funny because we went to Yellowstone in 2011. And we're driving around Yellowstone, and you know, you're looking at the bison, and they're these square-shouldered, majestic, gorgeous, beautiful animals, right? And you come out of Yellowstone Park after a week, and they've got all these cattle ranches there that are raising European cattle. And they're kind of spotted looking, and they've got swayed backs, and they all look sick and anemic and unhealthy. And I remember thinking at the time, well, only a crazy person would import European cattle when we've got these majestic, beautiful bison. But I didn't think, oh yeah, dummy, you should eat that. You know? And until I got on this diet, I wasn't eating bison. But, you know, God actually left bison on the North American continent for a reason.
Right. And
that was, he knew we were going to lead this insanely high-stress life, and that we needed a red meat that wasn't going to kill us. So talk to us. So you and Ara had heart conditions.
Yes.
And you're going beyond organic.
Yes.
Now, you had a teacher who helped you formulate this diet.
Well, actually, I had a teacher who taught me the healing properties of food and herbs.
Okay.
And she actually, her husband came from Sweden, and he had an amazing experience in his life, his healing process. He was very ill all his life with allergies. And so he was in and out of hospitals, had all of the tests, you know, and experimental drugs and all of that. And so he was on a quest since he was a child to be well. And so he started to gather information from indigenous sources, you know, going back to the source of, you know, what people did in times of disease was turn to nature. And what herbs did they use? What foods did they use? And what are the properties? And so he began to cultivate this relationship with plants, herbs, fruits, vegetables, and then he took it to another level. Much like, I don't know if you're familiar with the work of Royal Raymond Rife.
I'm not.
He worked with frequency, and basically to eliminate or eradicate cancer. And he was able to, through USC, actually, he was affiliated at the time, and doing his experimentation. He had a what they called the Rife machine, which radiated a frequency. And he could tune in on like a specific type of tumor and what frequency that resonated
Tesla science.
Yes. Only he focused it on the eradication of cancer cells.
Right.
And so he would be able to tune in on literally that cancer, so he didn't have to do like what we do with chemo and radiation. We
just kill everything.
And we figure it'll kill the good and the bad, but then you got to worry about nourishing the good cells, which is one good thing about living beyond organic, that we can do that. But so much like that, he was able to tune into the frequency of foods. So I actually brought some foods to give you an idea of what that means in terms of what I've studied. So, for example, this is a fig. It's a fresh fig, and
it's a very large, gorgeous.
They're
looking
called
fig.
Turkey figs, actually, and they're amazing because they look like red inside. I know you don't like figs, but your wife does, so she'll have to take these home and eat them. But look, they're just so amazing. I know you don't like figs, but this is like so special. You might want to taste it. And then if you don't like it, you don't have to eat it. But cheers. It's yummy, right?
It is good.
See?
And I'm not like a big fig fan. I'm kind of like, but these are really good.
But your body is connecting to the frequency of what's going on. Your body knows it needs this. It's helping you. So how does a fig help you? Well, taking it beyond just the normal nutrients that are in here. It's loaded with minerals. It's an excellent source of minerals. But more than that, what this does is it helps you to start to rid the body of stagnant lymphatic fluids. Okay, and it specifically resonates with the mammary glands and with a blue frequency. Every fruit that's in this beautiful place we're in will draw from the full light spectrum from the sun a certain frequency.
Okay, makes sense.
And this particular one holds blue frequency, which resonates with, as I said, the mammary glands. So it specifically boosts the mammary gland functions. And in our bodies, they directly are related to the lymphatic fluids. And as you know, if we have an abundance of lymphatic fluids that are being stored in the body, well, many things happen. We get inflammation, we get acidity, we get We store toxins in our adipose tissue, in our fatty tissue, so we have weight gain. All right. So this actually is a food that's going to help boost you with your weight loss process, because it's going to help you to alkalize because of the minerals. It's going to help you to flush out specifically lymphatic fluids. But taking it even beyond that, what really activates this on a much more potent level is your awareness of that. And then when you eat it, setting that intention that now I'm going to remineralize my body and I'm going to stimulate my mammary glands and my ability to process lymphatic fluids. Because your brain is essentially like a master crystal, and your 77 trillion cells in the human body are like little satellite crystals, and your brain tells your body what to do, and they obey. They will do what you tell them. So if you're sending the message that that's what you're doing with this, you will do it on a much deeper level. It will be much more effective. Yes, you'll still get the benefits by eating it on autopilot, okay?
Right.
But how wonderful is it that when we increase our awareness, we increase our knowledge, okay, we can literally manifest our health quicker and maintain it better.
Right. Now I see you've got my lunch over there, or
Yeah.
what I always have for lunch.
Okay. Love it. My favorite variety. This is the reed avocado.
Okay.
I know the Haas are super popular because they're more readily available, and these are seasonal. But if you can find them, they are truly a treasure. Because as you know, we have the combination in my book that we recommend are the oleic and lipoic fatty acids that come from avocado and first cold pressed extra virgin olive oil. The most amazing combination on earth if you are wanting to maintain your health, feed your brain. This is actually the #1 brain food. Okay, so this resonates with gold frequency. All right, which, yeah, and so gold. See, they're the
Avocados
Egyptians.
are gold, man.
They knew, hey, they knew what they were doing, because they weren't just wearing the gold for ornamental purposes. They were literally wearing it for the frequency. Because the more you elevate the body's frequency, you're not a good host for disease. All right. So, and literally getting back to Jonathan and Royal Raymond Rife, Royal Raymond Rife discovered that disease resonates at a certain frequency.
Right.
All right. And so you're able to measure this in hertz.
And what did USC do with all that work?
Well, I don't know. You can research that for me,
Okay.
perhaps.
Yeah,
You're the man to do it.
Okay.
I'll let you answer that question and you tell me. But as you know, the sick care system is alive and well.
Yes. Yes.
And so sometimes when we have a technology that can prevent costly medical care, it gets lost in the shuffle. And I don't know how that happens. That's not my job. My
Right.
job is to increase awareness about the foods and what
Right.
can you do when you are ill, and
Right.
how can you maintain wellness. So that's your job.
That's my job. Okay.
I'll
well,
leave that to you.
I can find that out, actually.
All right, cool.
You know, I used to know this old man. He lived to be 98 years old. His name was Mr. Pompey. And he was Tesla's apprentice. And he lived in Pasadena, and he actually used to rewire all my electrical machines for me so that they would be super high output. But he had a Tesla health machine. Tesla made a machine that had multi-frequency vibration. And you would stand on this thing, and supposedly it would get rid of all your disease. Mr. Pompey was never sick in all the years that my father knew him and that I knew him, and my father knew him from the 1940s on, and he died about 10 years ago. But, you know, he was never sick a day in his life, and he very much believed in eating an alkaline diet.
Yeah.
And, you know, I first heard about an alkaline diet from Mr. Pompey, and I thought he was, you know, this weird old nutcase. Naturally. Crazy old man believes in all this old 1890s health food crap. Give me a cheeseburger. Let me go see my doctor. And, you know, very, very interesting that there's, you know, because that was always sort of a thing that Tesla was into. And it's interesting that there's actually a university that conducted similar tests and had results that worked. And then that kind of, again, is hidden knowledge. It's like, the basics of this diet, the basics of high alkalinity and enzyme diets were known 120 years ago. I mean, I collect old books, and I always used to, collect those and sort of like laugh at them, like, oh, these silly people. And of course, now I'm on a high alkaline diet because I don't want to die young.
Because your wisdom, that is already in there. You started reconnecting with that. Yeah. But what greater...
Well, the 18-inch scar does a lot to like really focus
to
your
inspire
attention.
you, right?
Yeah,
it's like wow, and you know what? It really is. That's now become the portal for your healing process.
Right.
Now you are seeking your healing process, and you're connecting with those things that support it because of that. So we're grateful for ours heart attack now,
right?
Because all of us were on a fast track to disease. So so it's okay. And the reason why you didn't die and you're still here is because you are a messenger bringing good information to people, creating awareness, and that's your job. And so your purpose has not completed yet. You're still fulfilling your purpose here.
One hopes.
And as long as you keep doing that and you have something interesting you want to share with your viewers and your listeners, you're still going to be here. And when you feel you're done with that, then you can go. But right now, you got to be here.
Yeah, it'll be a while.
Yeah, that's right. And thank you.
So, no, thank you. So now you have a new book.
I do. I'm working on a new one that is focused on recipes, because everyone, there's a 21-day menu plan in here,
right,
and it has breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but people want variety. We're really, I don't want to say victims to our taste buds, but we're slaves to our taste buds, right? If it tastes good and there's more variety, the better. So I focused on recipes, and so it's got over 400 recipes. Whoa. And I'm focusing on separating them into like bison dishes, because some people are vegetarians and don't want the bison dishes. Then we have like shrimp, and we have orange raffia, we have like the seafood. Then we have like all vegetarian, and then side dishes, desserts, even libations that are good for you. Good for you libations.
Yeah.
And so I've separated them into categories so that people can mix and match. You can get the whole set, or you can mix and match. So we're working on getting that. I've edited everything, and it's now in the hands of the web people that are going to make that magic happen.
Awesome.
So very soon. I'm hoping like the beginning of next year that it'll be launched.
And I can testify. When I started this diet, I weighed 344 pounds, and I didn't get that way eating at McDonald's, folks. I was a foodie. I went to all the most crazily insane good restaurants, trendy. Ate a lot of trendy food. If there was a way to add fat to it, I'm sure I found it. Bacon with everything.
Yeah.
And I am not suffering on this diet. I'm eating fantastic food on this diet. I discovered that I liked vegetables. I didn't know that. I like fruit. I mean, just fruit.
You even like figs.
I even like figs, turns out. I like fruit now, like without sugar, without syrup. It doesn't have to have ice cream or cheese or something on it.
Right.
It's just, actually, if you like go buy it at the Armand Market in Altadena or someplace that has organically grown, unmessed with food, it's just delicious.
It is.
It doesn't, need to be messed with.
No.
And Jeanette, actually, my wife, she's overjoyed because she always wanted me to eat this way, and I was always like, leave me alone.
Happy.
This is easy. It's easy. You think it's easy, and it's really not. Like, there's this really wonderful family that owns this place called Fair Oaks Burger near my house, and they make the sine qua non of poison American food. It's really yummy, but it'll kill you. And I used to go there 3 times a week.
Wow.
And it was just so easy. I mean, you just like you're going home from work.
We call this digging your grave with your teeth.
Or your fork, yeah.
Or your fork.
Yeah. Killing yourself with your fork, suicide by fork. And I would just go there from work, and I would get like the really big triple cheeseburger, with the fries, and I kept thinking to myself, this is so easy. And there's no place where you can go drive through to get Living Beyond organic food. So when I was faced with
not yet.
So when I was faced with my own extinction, you know, suddenly convenience kind of went out the window because like, oh my God, I'm going to die.
Right.
And I made a really curious discovery. It actually really doesn't take any longer and isn't any more or less inconvenient to cook myself.
And I love that you're saying this because, you know, although it would be nice to have more places that you can just go and be served a meal that's good for you, but we've lost the ritual of food preparation at home. And and the family, you know, you're picking something up, you see people driving and eating and or studying and in front of the computer and eating, and all of the nutrients are just, well, they're non-existent depending on what you're eating, first of all. But if you are eating something wonderful, you want to take a moment out to honor that and give thanks for that and spend time with your family. I mean, you know, catch up. How is your son? How is your daughter? How is your husband? How is your wife? What are they doing? Because, you know, we're like ships crossing in the night when we're out eating and we're not at the dinner table. And I think that bringing that back home is part of this. So it's not just the food. It's the relationships, and it's the honoring of why are we here in the first place? Are we just here to process food and get from point A to point B? Or are these moments here where what we're doing, sharing information with people for their health and for their highest good, you know, this is what we're doing in this moment, and we need to honor that. But meals are the same way. We need to honor that we're nourishing our body, and the first thing we're doing is we are, what I'd like to think of is going home, in the sense that our physical body is our home, and we need to really be good stewards, good guardians of that. And that's where it begins, because that's a way of expressing your self-love, your compassion for yourself. Your healing process is really everything, because when you're coming from that place of wellness, just a sense of well-being and love and compassion, then you bring that to your family, your friends, all your relationships, your work, your creativity, and all of that. But when we're coming from this stressed, diseased place, then guess what? That's all we have to offer. And that's why people are angry. There's all this road rage. There's all of this, you know, lower consciousness and anger, and people hate this and people hate that, and people are criticizing this and criticizing that. And we have to really take time to take inventory of ourselves and not judge others. I mean, I'm not judging people for their anger and all. I don't know what their story is. They may have a very good reason. But I can suggest that we all take inventory of our situation, our health, starting with our health, and start there, you know. And that's all I'm doing, is I'm being true to my choices, and by doing that, I can bring more to the body, to the people, and share more. So
now I've got a really odd question to ask you, and then Kevin's saying we're running out of time.
Okay.
My friend David Smith, he had some stents put in. He was on the same diet I was on, high cholesterol, high fat, early death. And so I gave him my chili recipe, which basically comes out of here, my bison chili recipe. And he made it, and the night after he made it, he said to me, he said, "Steve," he says, "I noticed something strange about eating your chili." And he goes, "I want to know if you've experienced the same thing." I go, "What's that?" He goes, "I was totally satisfied with one bowl. I normally eat like 3 or 4 bowls of chili, like if it's beef and you know it's made by Hormel." And he says, "You know, I roasted the green chilies. I cooked the ground bison. I did the tomatoes and the onions." And he goes, "And I added a couple other things to your recipe that I normally have in mind." And he goes, "But I was totally satisfied." Do you find that on this diet, you and Ara and other people, you know, actually eat less than they did before they ate the diet?
Initially, no. Initially, because we're coming from a place of malnutrition. Our body's like, "Oh wow, this is great," and it just wants to suck it all up, because when you're coming from malnutrition, your body's like, "I don't know when we're going to get this again. We better get more and save it for later."
But by the way, you still lose weight when you're doing that. I did that.
Oh, exactly. Because the nutrients are present.
Right.
You do really have to eat less, because your body's getting what it needs. When you're eating foods that are void of proper nutrients, then you need more. Your body's like still not satisfied because your body's still deficient. And so it has to have more quantity. So yes, the answer is he did get the nutrients that his body needed, and he was able to register fullness, and his body was sated, and that's great. But initially, when we're coming from so he's at a higher frequency, because initially when we're at disease frequency, what happens is we need more of the nutrients, and we crave more of the nutrients. Then we stabilize once we're not operating from depletion.
Right.
Yeah. But so yes, absolutely, the nutrients that are abundant in these foods that I recommend are going to satisfy you, so that you're not overeating.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you recently graduated a program of study where you became a shaman, and I don't know what school that was in. I can't pronounce that, but what was that?
Well, this is actually the Way of the Mystic Shaman. It's a training where we learn about shamanism.
Okay.
I don't believe that you can really learn to be a shaman. You either are. It's kind of something that you're born into, and the indigenous cultures, have their ways and their traditions, and they're able to have, like, I want to say, like a chief, let's say an Indian chief, and then they have like a medicine man or whatever, and they pass that learning on throughout their lineage to their descendants. So that's kind of how you inherit perhaps the title of shaman. It's like if you said go to king school or queen school or princess school. So you can't really learn to be a shaman, but you can learn shamanic tools. Okay. And so what I did is I immersed myself in a 5-year training that took me to various parts of the world. I studied all the different sorts of shamanic tools that you encounter. Let's say, were you to go to a shaman, healer. And so what I've done is enhanced my Reiki training with shamanic tools. Okay. So I am a Shakti Reiki master, and Shakti is basically the term we use for sacred masculine and sacred feminine energies. Really, the Shakti is sacred feminine energy, and that goes into perhaps another interview. Yeah, but it's a whole different subject. But yes, I do energy work, and this has taken what I do with food on a deeper level, because I energize all of the things that I do, including my coffee. I bring energy to that, and it's because it's all about energy, and all of us have a different gift. And so what I do is I help people more or less connect with their creative life purpose, their creative potential. And we all have these abilities, but not all of us are embracing them or cultivating them. And so as a shamanic Shakti Reiki master, that's what I help you to do. And when the phone rings and you know who it is, or you think of someone and they call you, and he has these little intuition, the signs of intuition, right? Right. And you've all experienced that. Or you knew it was going to rain, or you knew, or whatever it is. There's a direct knowing that goes beyond belief, and it goes beyond faith. It goes into just, you simply know, and you may not know why you know, but you just do. And that's more or less what I help you to connect with. Okay.
And then how can people get in touch with you? Because they definitely need to get in touch with you.
That's livingbeyondorganic.com is my website, and you can click on to contact me, and my email is on there. It's info@lborganic.com. And of course, they can call our office number, 818-957-6585. But I strongly encourage people to visit drinkpapua.com, because I know most everybody out there is a coffee drinker. And I think that's probably the first step in alkalizing your body.
Body is getting a good coffee.
If you're drinking coffee on a regular basis, you want to switch to something that's not creating acidity in your body. I think that's probably the first step that people are comfortable with, because they figure they're not giving anything up, and that's really what I want to say about the lifestyles, that we're switching things. We're not really taking anything away, and we're giving you a more deeper awareness and understanding of what it is that you're eating.
And real quickly, I'm going to say about your coffee. I actually used to have a line of coffee, And
Amazing.
your coffee tastes very much like my old line tastes, so I know exactly how you're doing that.
Ah.
And the other thing I'd like to say about that is you're giving the stuff away. I know what it costs to make it, and let me tell you,
Yeah.
this is the best deal in artisan coffee you're ever going to find in Southern California. So even if you just want to drink a really good, rich coffee that's strong, that's not going to upset your stomach, and you don't care about the alkalizing benefits, you should drink her coffee.
Oh, thanks,
And
Steve.
that's it for the day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
Did I ramble?
No, you're awesome.
There's nothing to edit.
Yeah.
Really?
It's a-
Oh gosh, I feel.